Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the most OP Tavern Brawler throwing build guide in Baldur's Gate 3. Now this is a multi-class, and we're going to be taking advantage of everything we possibly can to deal the most amount of damage. So we're going to be starting off as a Barbarian here. This gives us our Rage, but also we get some nice abilities from the Berserker. And in terms of our ability stats, now this is where things can get interesting. If you're early in the game, keep your strength as high as you possibly can get it. Something like this looks good, but when we're in Act 3, you get the Strength Potion, so we're going to actually dump Strength because it gets our Strength up to 27, which means we're going to do the maximum amount of damage. So we're going to actually focus on having our Constitution as high as possible, as well as our Dexterity. So something like that looks good, and you can put your Charisma up a little bit higher if that's something that you focus on, but we're going to dump Strength, use the potions. As I said earlier, you can use the higher strength if you're not doing it that way, but that is what our ability points are going to look like. Constitution max and dexterity is our next most important stat. So how this build gets pretty crazy is we're going to be able to deal a massive amount of damage with throwing weapons from combining 3 different classes. The first being the Barbarian. So we get ourselves the reckless attack there, gives us advantage, but we can also use a risky ring to not even have to focus on using that as an action. As we get to level 3, we do get to choose our subclass, and I do think that the Berserker is the best choice because we can get the Enraged Throw. Pick up an item or a creature and throw it at a target, dealing additional damage and knocking it prone. Bonus action. So very nice, and we get Frenzy, so this turns our Rage into Frenzy. You get improvised weapon. You can do an improvised weapon attack as bonus action, and you get Enraged Throw. So super powerful as we get through the levels here. And I'm going to go over the gear options at the end because the gear is what makes this build super powerful. So on our next level, we get ourselves a feat, and you know what we're taking? We're taking Tavern Brawler, obviously, and that can put our Constitution up to 18, so that's nice and rounded off. That'll give us the +4 to Constitution checks, plus Tavern Brawler, if you don't know, allows you to add your Strength modifier twice to damage and attack rolls on throwing attacks. So this is not only the damage, but also attack rolls, meaning we're going to be hitting pretty much 95% of the time, which is incredible. So that's what we're going to go with for level 4. And then as we get to level 5, this gives us the bonus attack, so we can do another throw. And we get a increase in movement speed by 3 meters while not wearing heavy armor. And as you can see, we're wearing medium armor, so we get that increased movement speed, which is quite nice. We're not going to go with the unarmed defense that the Barbarian is known for, but yeah, as I'm playing as a drow, so we get ourselves Darkness here, which is kind of a nice action just to have as a little bit of extra utility. So that's what we're going to go with for level 5. Now level 6, the Barbarian doesn't get a whole lot in extra. It gets a mindless Rage, but that doesn't make it worthwhile taking. Next, we're going to add in the Rogue, and you kind of know where this is going. You get 2 skill proficiencies here, so you can take whatever you want. I like Athletics personally, and Acrobatics. I think that those are 2 of the better ones to go with, and then you can also take Sleight of Hand or something like that. So that's going to be that for level 1 of the Thief. Into level 2, we get our Cunning actions, Dash, Disengage, and Hide. Not what we're caring about. Once we get to level 3, this is where it gets pretty interesting. We get the Thief subclass, giving us an extra bonus action, allowing us to throw another time. So that's 2 attacks, a bonus action, and another bonus action. That's 4 throws. And as I mentioned, Tavern Brawler adds our Strength modifier twice to the damage, so it gets pretty crazy. So we also get the second story work here. The Assassin does have some merit, but obviously we want that extra bonus action, so that's what we're going to go with there. And then that's it for the Rogue. You can go another level in Rogue, but I think that the best option here is actually to add in the Fighter as well. So with the Fighter, we get ourselves a nice little second wind healing as a bonus action, and we got lots of bonus actions if you need to heal up. I think the defense plus 1 armor class while wearing armor is probably the best one to go with here. There's option for like archery, which gives you increased ability to hit, but I do think defense is just the best option here, so we're going to go with that. And then as we get level 2, this is what the Fighter is best known for. You give yourself the Action Surge, immediately gain an action to use in this turn. So that can turn our throws from 4 to 6, and that's without even taking into account taking haste. As if you have a sorcerer that can twin haste, this gets us even crazier. We get another action from that. So at level 3 Fighter, we do get a couple options here. So Battle Master will give us the superiority dice, but I don't think that's the best one here. The Eldritch Knight, however, does get some nice abilities. We get Weapon Bond. Ritually bind the weapon in your main hand. This can't be knocked out of your hand, and it automatically returns when thrown. So this takes it from being able to use just the throwing items to using any throwing items. So we obviously want that, but there is merit to taking the champion, which will give you increased critical hit chance. But I do think that the Eldritch Knight is by far the best option here. So we can choose cantrips. So I'm personally a fan of these two, Ray of Frost and Shocking Grasp. You're not going to be using these ever, really, but if you have set up water, it's pretty nice to have. So we're going to actually take Minor Illusion, which I think is one of the best cantrips in the game, because you can use this to steal rooms full of items. You can also use it to group enemies together for a sorcerer to drop a fireball. Friends is the one you want to take if you're the face of the party, so take that if you're this is your Tav. That'll be very beneficial because it pops up all the time in dialogue. Now, as far as our learned spells go, Shield, increase your armor class by 5. That's really nice just to survive some hits. We're not going to be using spells a whole lot. Magic Missile can be a decent option if you have no other ability to hit an enemy. It's better to do that 6 to 15 damage than just skipping your turn. And Thunderwave can be nice for the pushback, but we're going to go with Shield and Magic Missile. We also get one expanded spell here, so there's some pretty nice choices. I'm a fan of Find Familiar. Having another creature to take hits for you is always something that's worthwhile. But even Long Strider can be pretty nice as a ritual, increase movement speed by 3. But go with whatever you think is necessary here. I just think Find Familiar is nice to have that extra little bit of utility. So we do get a final level here. This is level 12, and this gives us a bonus feat. So we can take another spell, not that that's going to be massive, but Thunderwave is an okay one just for the pushback that it brings. And then for our feat, there's a couple options that we can go with. We can go with the classic ability improvement, take our Constitution up to 20 or Dexterity up to 18. But I also am a fan of Alert, +5 to Initiative, can't be surprised. There's also some other options that we can go with that I think works pretty great. So I'm currently using a shield, but I do think that if we were to take something like Dual Wielder, giving a +1 armor class when you're wielding melee hands in each hand, and you cannot dual wield heavy weapons, this gives us extra options for what we can throw, so that's always quite nice, and you're going to see why. But even something like heavily armored or a medium armor master can be okay, but I like Alert a lot, especially honor mode if you're doing this, because this increased initiative is huge and you can't be surprised. It's also quite nice to have. So we're going to go with Dual Wielder, and I'll show you why in just a moment here, because there's some great throwing items. And getting into the item side of things, we already have an armor class of 25, so that's ridiculous. And we're not even using like the most optimal shields in the game. I don't have one with +3 on this playthrough yet, but we'd have 26 with that. But I think that using for our weapon the Nirelna, this has gotten in early Act 3. What's nice about this is there's a lot of nice things about it, actually. The Zephyr connection, this weapon will return to your hand when thrown, so you don't even have to take the Eldritch Knight. You can just go with the champion. You cannot be forced to drop the trident when thrown. The weapon creates an explosion that deals 3 to 12 thunder damage in a 6-meter blast around the target. So this can hit your teammates, and that's not always the best option. So that's why we want to go with the Dual Wielder, have multiple options for our throwing weapons. We get a +3 movement speed and jump distance. Equipping this weapon gives you immunity to falling damage. You get a nice glow, and it's permanently a permanent light weapon. You also get the nice Zephyr Flash, 6 to 48 damage, so that's really nice. It adds bleed to the target as well. And in our offhand, we can go with something like the Lightning Jabber. So very similar. This does thunder damage. This one does lightning damage. So if you have water, create water, this can deal upwards of 2 to 8 lightning damage. So that's quite nice. On hit, possibly shock your target. So this gives thunder. This brings the lightning, and quite powerful. We obviously want to have the Ring of Flinging. This is gotten in Act 1. This gives you a 1d4 to throw damage, so an extra damage rider. Always welcomed. Risky Ring, gain advantage on attack rolls and disadvantage on saving throws. Saving throws, it's not likely that people are going to use things that you need to have a saving throw for, so not a massive deal, but there are some other rings in the game, like Killer Sweetheart gives a critical hit on attack roll. That may be better suited for you. This really depends on how you want to play this build. Now, you can go with something like the Paralyzing Critical. If you have the Amulet of Ball, that's gotten late in Act 3. It gives you bleed if the enemy hasn't taken damage yet. That can be great because you can just go around throwing things everywhere, setting up bleed on everyone. But in terms of our gear, Helmet of Baldur gives us a nice +1 armor class and saving throws, heals you for 2 health at the start of each turn, and you can't be stunned. So that's pretty powerful. We also have the Death Stalker Mantle, which gives you invisibility for 2 turns after eliminating a target. So that gives us a nice bonus. We have 24 armor class here, but there is another there's another option that we can go here that'll take that up to 25. For armor, I like the Armor of Agility. This still checks off the box to give us that increased armor class, but it adds your full dexterity modifier to your armor class. Additionally, this armor does not suppose disadvantage on stealth checks, +2 to saving throws. This is crazy. You can also go with something like the Adamantine Scale Mail, which it reduces all damage by 1. It looks pretty cool too, but yeah, I'm a fan of Armor Agility. 17 armor class versus the 16, plus this will add our full dexterity modifier, so that's really nice, especially if you have the Gloves of Dexterity. But I'm using the Gloves of Uninhibited Kushigo, which gives the wearer an additional 1d4 to thrown attacks or attacks made with improvised weapons. So we have a nice 2d4 to our throwing damage from our gear alone. I like the Evasive Shoes for +1 armor class. But yeah, the whole point of this build, I'm also going to mention that we can put the Titan String Bow on, because what's nice about that is when we chug down ourselves a nice strength potion, if I can find it in my gear here, that's what makes this build super overpowered, is the ability to just gulp down a strength potion, and then it gives you the 27 strength, which completely makes this build broken. So I'm having a hard time finding my strength potions here, but using the strength potions will set your strength to 27, so that is very effective at just building up the amount of damage that you can do in 1 turn. Oh, there it is. So there are we have the Elixir of the Cloud Giant Strength. So this gives you, your weapon deals additional damage equal to your strength modifier. So if we were to attack with a bow, it says 5 to 12 there. I'm pretty sure it should be higher than that. Because whenever we do our throwing attacks, so if we go throw, you can really throw whatever you want here, but these weapons will return if we use the weapon binding here. The Nyrelna will always return no matter what. I think it's one of the better throwing weapons, but you can throw this here and it's going to deal a good amount of damage because it's adding twice the strength modifier to its damage. And if you go to the character sheet here, we have a +8, so that's 16 extra damage plus the 2d4 on that we have from the Ring of Flinging and our Gloves of Uninhibited Kushigo. So this build gets really powerful. It's combining multiple different things. I would recommend putting haste on this if you have a sorcerer, because they'll give you 2 actions, 2 bonus actions, and then the ability to use action surge as well. So this goes pretty hard as far as builds go. You have tons of bonus action if you want to use the cunning actions to increase movement speed or to hide, and then also Second Wind can get a nice increase there as well. We do have a bit of magic with Shocking Grasp, Magic Missile, so you're going to hit an enemy no matter what. And the nice thing about this is your thrown weapons are going to deal a crazy amount of damage. Nyrelna is really cool to throw too. Unfortunately, we hit a large area there, so you can see how large that area is. Whereas if you got this one here, it's not as large, but it'll still take out enemies pretty quickly. So yeah, Scratch wants to catch that. So yeah, that is the throwing build guide for Baldur's Gate 3. Tavern Brawler is extremely powerful. Hope you found this video useful, and if you did, please hit the subscribe button below, and I'll see you all in the next video.